Check. Can see soft enough so you lean on me. Whatever you want is whatever you take. Call it weakness, call it fake. Leave your mark like it fades away. Leave a scar that really made your day. Just smile like you can't cut through. Like I don't keep count on you. Volcano, fire and flood. I am a volcano, boiling blood. I am a volcano, pray I never explode. I am a volcano, reap what you sow. Take a gift as a sign you won. Every line you step across, you don't count it as a cost. Every inch you take from me, you disguise your greed as humility. Check. Your kingdom built on a stolen ground. When kingdom comes, it leaves no trace. I am a volcano, fire and flood. I am a volcano, boiling blood. I am a volcano, pray I never explode. I am a volcano, reap what you all right. Yeah. How long? All right, here we go. The audio's glitchy. That's might be part of the song. Audio's tiny. That's weird. Crunchy. It says crunchy. Might want to reload your page if the audio is wonky. You know what? I'm gonna just get started and try and see if anything's up and running because it looks good where I am. The audio was a tad low for Andrea, but she's usually doing my audio checks. Seems okay in that regard, you know. Patreon's up. Okay, all's well. Audio's good there. Let me know. It might be sounds like a tweeter only. That's odd. I think you might have to reload your page if it's like that. It might be a throttling that's happening depending on where you're watching.
Thank you. Welcome. I feel quite grimy. Thanks very much. Hi there. How are you? A bunch of stuff obviously to talk about today. We went through the entire speech last night, which was a rambly, ridiculous mess. If you haven't seen, it's a separate video that our dear friend CSL was nice enough to cut into a chunk for me. It's uh, it's got Trump with whoops. What happened there? I see a freeze going. What's that? Okay, there it is. Finally. Take a little second. That's odd. Whatever. Um, that, wait, go. This guy. Huh. The buttons are just being weird. Okay. All right. You ain't be that way. I don't care. I don't care. I'll fix it anyways.
It's time for a shameless plug.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It is not. I got stuck. And that's not what, it's not shameless plug time. I don't even have a shameless plug to do. I don't know why this little side screen is freezing up. I'm going to close it and see if it reopens. It's being very glitchy today. We got attacked by the, you know what I'm going to find out is there was a system update last night. Oh, I know what it is. It's the Elgato. Okay, we're good. It got a bit glitch-tastic this morning, so hopefully we're okay. Pardon me if I'm not looking you in the eyes right now because the screen that usually shows me the monitor, it's frozen. So I'm just going to look at that's what happens. Anyways, there we go. Facebook is not up. Okay, we'll go by there and Facebook slap that situation. But anyways, this video is up. I stole the election. Trump's unhinged, snot mucus, gaffe-filled speech makes him look more guilty. The breakdown of this whole thing resulted in two things. One, he sounded like he was hawking up a lung. And the other one was that he basically admitted that the Russians tried to help him directly, the same way they did in 2016, which was what the intelligence community in 2016 came to the same conclusion they came to in 2020, which was Vladimir Putin and Russia was trying to help Trump get elected. The first time they told him, they told everybody. The second time, he didn't want to fucking hear it. That's the only difference. Like, they didn't even tell me. They weren't telling him all kinds of shit because they knew he wouldn't listen. They were focused on just trying to get him to read the parts where there were threats to the country that he was ignoring. So stupid. So now, the follow-up to Trump's thing was, of course, Mark Wayne Mullen giving this speech. And it wasn't that long. Ultimately, he was like, we're splattering facts and shit like that. There's not a lot to this, but they end up jumping over to just kind of turd polishing around the number of arrests and deportations they've made. We'll take a look at that. And by the way, this whole thing, like I dialed down the temperature, like somebody else just died. Somebody else is gonna die. It's not, there is no temperature to dial down. If he does, Trump will yell at him like, we need more blood in the streets because nobody's convinced. I'm not churning out the numbers. So, and that's why he's going to beat his chest on overall numbers. So this is, he's like, we got to do this so it'll never happen again. It didn't happen in the first place, you dumbass.
What took place and to make sure it never happens again.
Okay, again, that gives the illusion that somebody fixed the 2020 election, but only the they didn't fix 2016. They didn't fix 2024. The only one they fixed because of getting all this access was Biden getting elected.
And there's some really easy steps that can be taken to secure our elections. And it shouldn't.
They're already secure. This is so embarrassing and stupid. It happens every time. This asshole is just setting up a predicate so that when they lose, he can blame somebody else.
Be a partisan issue. This should be something that every American, regardless if you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, you're an independent, you're a libertarian, regardless if you live in a blue state or you live in a red state, everybody should know that their vote counts.
We do. As a matter of fact, in these big old blue states you keep talking about, we get a notification on our phone that our vote has been tallied if we mail it in. And if we vote in person, we can check anytime we want to find out if we can go to another polling place or our actual polling place. It's pretty well managed.
And we have individuals that are voting that shouldn't be. It cancels out someone that should be.
Oh, you mean like the people in the villages in Florida who voted for Trump 4 times per person and a bunch of them went to fucking jail. So they cut out 3 Democrats, you'd say, in that situation. So part of obviously their punishment is that Trump isn't going to pardon them ever, I presume, if he hasn't already, under the table, and they just kept it quiet. I presume that they're going to apologize to the 3 Democrats whose votes they erased
I want to go
each.
through some things in a little bit more depth than what we were able to expose last night.
Well, that should be easier because there was 0 depth.
Because President Trump, he
There wasn't even breadth. It was low on girth.
hit the highlights, and those should be scary
Yes, highlights for children. Yes.
for everybody. What we're going to do is
Little magazine you got at the dentist's office. Anybody? Just me? Let me know in the chat if you read highlights while sitting in the dentist's office.
dig in just a little bit deeper, and then we'll take some of your questions. So first of all, Department of Homeland Security, we've identified 250,000 non-citizens registered to vote.
All right, non-citizens registered to vote. Okay. Who wants to guess how many of those people are here illegally or were seeking asylum? And how many of them were like legal permanent residents who've been here for a long time?
Just 4 states. Mind you, we have 46 other states. And just 4 states, we've identified 250,000 non-citizens registered to vote.
Okay, that's the other thing. Remember the whole thing about the group in Michigan that had signed up a bunch of people, a bunch of dead people and all that kind of shit? They signed up people who weren't citizens. Those people never got their fucking ballots. They didn't vote. They were just signed up by like these canvassing groups. They get paid by the head. And one of the ways that Trump can guarantee this like kind of plausible argument that he wants to put forward, it's real easy. Here's how it works. You're a candidate, you're a Republican candidate like Donald Trump. And what you do is you hire canvassers and you give them a verbal order. Hey man, go out there and sign up. We don't give a shit. We're just paying you by the name. We don't even, my boss doesn't care. We need just as many names as you can. Just homeless people, illegal, it doesn't matter. They're not going to vote anyway. Anyways, I'll pay you by the head, but you just stack those fuckers. I want as many as you can get. And then what happens is they're going to go out and get people who are illegal. They're going to go out and get people who are not, able to vote or don't have a home address or any of that shit. They're going to sign them up. Nothing's going to happen because no ballots are going to be sent anywhere. It's one of the reasons why the mail-in ballot part of it they were so worried about was because that was part of their scheme for a long time. And then after the fact, after your people that you paid signed up a bunch of people who can't vote, you can go, look at all the people on the rolls who were signed up who can't vote. But when you weigh it against turnout, the Democrats that showed up are the actual number of registrations, and the Republicans are like watery.
California and Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Nevada.
Yes, this is what happens when you have pay by the head canvassers doing this kind of shit. Don't believe me? Work with a charity that gets people to sign on to a petition outside a grocery store. If you pay somebody to do that occasionally and with relative frequency, if you don't have a volunteer doing it, you're going to get people just faking the signatures. You are. And if that's your goal, because then if you know you're gathering bullshit signatures, you can say if you lost, there were a bunch of, there was a bunch of cheating going on. That sounds like the plan. And again, just because it's stupid doesn't mean it's not the plan.
We also worked with proactive states to identify 28,000 non-citizens on their voter rolls, plus 400,000 individuals that are still registered to vote that are deceased.
Right. You don't get, if you want to set up a system where somebody, along with their death registry, it automatically expunges their name from the voter rolls, then give grants to the states to do that. Otherwise, it's just a yearly purge. They don't vote. They're dead.
Now, these 23 states, they proactively worked with us on the SAVE program. That's Georgia.
By the way, remember I mentioned the SAVE program, which is the secure alien verification for entitlements, program, which is the Save America Act, is an addendum budgetary addition to that.
Ohio, Tennessee, Texas, North Carolina, Idaho, Alabama, Missouri, Louisiana.
Yes, all the tick states. Yes, you don't have to tell us that all the red states go for all the federal funding they can get and don't give a shit if they're giving over their voter rolls to the government, except when they squawk about it when a Democrat's in charge.
Kansas, Arkansas, Wyoming, Montana, Iowa, Florida, South Dakota, Indiana, Arizona, South Carolina, Utah, Nebraska, Michigan, and my great home state of Oklahoma. What's interesting to me
is that Oklahoma has fewer people in it than like the greater Toledo area, and yet it gets 2 senators.
Is
how come Ohio doesn't get 4 senators if one of their cities has as many people, Americans in it, as your entire state?
We're getting pushback from activist judges.
Right, because of the separation between and how the founders set up the voting system. It's that fucking Constitution again.
That are saying that, hold on, the SAVE Act or the SAVE program.
See, he's messing it up. Most people, I don't even know that. Let me know in the chat room. Did you guys know about the SAVE program before I brought it up in relation to the Save America Act and all that shit? And why Trump wanted the Save America part on it? Because the SAVE Act sounds like it was already a thing. It was already voted in for the SAVE program a long time ago. Anybody? Has anybody else brought up that, like, secure alien verification for entitlements thing? And that's what the Save America thing is linked to? I'm amazed. Anyways, I'm just trying to help, and I'm glad I can. All right.
They are trying to put a stop to it. Currently, because of the SAVE program, we have a pending appeal because activist judges are saying what? They don't want to secure our elections?
Sorry, activist judges like Amy Coney Barrett and Roberts.
Once again, how is this a part of a partisan issue? This shouldn't.
Because it isn't just about securing the elections. Because you have got poison pills in it on purpose. Because you don't want it to pass, but you want it to look like it should. Patriot Act, anyone? Who could not vote for a thing called the Patriot Act? Who could even criticize such a thing?
Partisan issue. This should be that any judge.
You're right. So you shouldn't have Trump try to load it up with anti-trans language, which you had to spoon out in the first 3 versions you tried to pass through the House.
And any God-fearing individual that loves this country should want to make sure that our elections are secure. And we have created inside.
Just wait. I have something. I gotta. This is so. The findings, for the documents that they released about the, China and Russia and Iran and North Korea trying to influence our elections, which is, again, watch them play fast and loose with like hack and influence, right? Which has a lot of social media shit to it and bots and whatnot. I mean, what the fuck do you think shitter is for right now, except to foment violence in the country? For real. But here, I'll just show you. Can I, I think this was my favorite quote from this business. This is a broader document related to, it's from one of the articles, following this. So the SAVE Act, the Save America Act, would federalize our elections. It would take all the voter data and all that kind of stuff and put the expunging of voters and all that stuff in the federal government, in their control. That's what it seeks to do. They've watered it down a couple of times. They're trying to pass chunks of it. But the actual Save America Act, that's the goal. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I know you're breezing ahead to the last sentence, aren't you? And I love you for it. The broader document set also includes older material on election vulnerabilities. A National Intelligence Council report from January 2020 concluded that Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea have the capability to access and potentially manipulate U.S. election data, such as voter registration databases, though it cautioned that because American elections are decentralized, any breach would likely be too localized to alter an outcome. Trump's speech last night was sour grapes about the fact that Russia wasn't able to save him in 2020. You hear me? That's what he's pissed about. That they were supposed to keep him in office. And they couldn't because of the decentralized nature of our elections, because it's the states that take care of it, because the federal government just deals with the electoral college, because in different states, it's like the state, the county, and the municipal level divides it up. There's 10,000 different municipalities and separate districts that control our elections. And that's a good thing because it makes it harder to break into. Do you understand? That's the value of it. And that's exactly why he's attacking it. The decentralization is a plus, not a negative. The fact that some places count votes quickly because they're fucking standing in the room, and some places because they got 7 million people in a space the size of, the downtown area of one of these other states, or the bottom half of the state or whatever. That they can, it takes them a long time to count them, parse them out, and make sure that they're all supposed to be there. And they also audit parts of them on the regular. And then if they see a signature that looks fucked up, they call the person, give them time to come in, because that person's vote should count. And the breakup of how that works, the fact that there are varying ways of doing it in the country, is why it's hard, and it's been near impossible for Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea to impact our fucking elections. That's why they can't do it. Now, you could think that the Trump administration is just stupid, and they don't know this, and they're just like, people around him believe his fucking story, and they want, like, oh my God, we got to fix all this stuff. Or you can know that Markwayne Mullin, everybody around him, Tulsi Gabbard, all these dipshits have seen this very same information. In this documents, no one dared show the president last time, or even during Biden. They're like, the reason they didn't show him like these other bits of information because they didn't rise to the necessity of him seeing it, in considering that we were going through COVID at the time. It didn't chart. If they had broken through or there was a major breach, he'd have heard about it. But since it was like, they're trying to, they'd like to, but that's not even going to chart right now. Shit, he barely thumbs through the stuff where a million Americans are dying. So why the fuck would we think he gives a shit about what China might want to do if they could at some point, but they can't because we've got a decentralized system? But you could think it's because of, ignorance or just they got a blue flame flying out of their ass and they're purists about this stuff. But the reality is that Trump and everyone around him knows that one of the reasons that Russia wasn't able to help him get elected last time in 2020 is because it wasn't centralized. And Republicans are looking at what's going to happen to them in the midterms, and Trump's looking at a real comeuppance with a House and a Senate that's possibly either run by Democrats or having senators that go, enough already. Fuck this. I'm not going to pull a Mitch McConnell, he's disgusting. He should never be in office, but I don't think we have to bother removing him and making it the law. They'll go through with it, especially if Massey takes his seat. Any breach would likely be too localized to alter an outcome because the American elections are decentralized. And the Save America Act, with its cute Patriot Act nickname, is designed to centralize the American elections. Do you get it now? Oops, sorry.
DHS, the SAVE program, that allows states to proactively look at their roles. And so when you have
the states do proactively look at their roles.
have 278,000 individuals that are non-citizens registered to vote, plus 400,000 that have already been identified.
Because they didn't sign up themselves. Somebody signed them up, and then it never went anywhere. They live in a fucking dorm or the back of a truck, or they left the country, or they're dead. Did they vote? Did they show up and vote? That'll be there. Like, I don't give a shit if you have ID or not. They check off if your ballot came in, right? That not which way you voted. Where's that? You want to show me some fucking details? You want some facts? Give me 268,000, non-citizens who are registered to vote and the dates they did.
23 states. What can we find? We have all 50 participating with us. We know, talking about our machines, we know for sure that our foreign adversaries, not our allies, foreign adversaries have parts.
Oh, by the way, he said adversaries, not allies, because there's a part in the report that says Israel has the ability to fuck with our elections too. And they were not big fans of Harris. Benjamin Netanyahu was not a fan of Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. That's why he threw that in. Why, not just like, these are our enemies could do this. Why? Yeah, we get it. The only enemies we would worry about in this context are the ones that could affect our elections. We're not worried about friends reaching in and fucking with our elections, unless we should be, which is exactly why this asshole brought it up.
That are vital pieces in our voting machines. We know we can access what they consider the key to the back of these machines. We know that they change voter registration and your vote. We know it's possible.
Oh, man. Dude, it's also possible that we changed all the votes in Putin's last election. Possibility is not what we're fighting for. Like, okay, now can you imagine the head of the DOJ? Imagine the AG of the United States coming out and saying the president of the United States needs a master key to every home in the country because it's possible that our adversaries could sneak soldiers in and get them to cut you open and wear your skin. So we gotta have a key to your house. Possible. Get the fuck out of here.
It's not a question. It's not even for debate.
Yes, it is. It also is. The possibility versus the active probability of it is where we differ. If it's possible, then Trump could be illegitimate. Say that. There is a very strong possibility that it's getting, if it started, it's getting worse. It certainly hasn't gotten better. So if there's any indication that they tried and tried again, it's that Trump got elected once and then again. And by a bigger margin this time. The too big to rig thing was a plot by the Russians. Makes as much sense as anything else. We're just talking about what's fucking possible.
One thing.
It's also possible that we all live in a fucking, our entire universe fits underneath a hippie's fingernail. And
that I love about numbers and I love about facts is they don't lie.
No, but they can be intentionally misinterpreted. Give us some, okay, by the way, chat room, see how you like my audience participation today? Put your hand up in the chat with a little emoji or something if you think later he's going to list some numbers that are, he says are facts, but are obviously manipulations at some point in this. Thoughts?
This isn't something that I'm trying to tell you to spin a narrative.
No, you're doing the spinning. We get that.
This is what is going on. And what we are saying is that every state should partner with us to work to secure this. Once we identify the problem, everybody should.
By the way, the other states he's talking about that don't partner is because they don't take the grants from the federal government in exchange for federal access to their voter rolls because they don't trust the president and his people. And I got news for you. A bunch of the Republicans in their states and the libertarians, none of them do either and never will. What's up? Oh, look at that. I didn't know what I'd get such a response. That's lovely. And oh, thank you for the super chat. I just saw that. Give me 1 second.
Be informed.
We'll cover the super chats in just a moment.
Working with Secretary Lutnick, we are going to make our security enhancements mandatory, meaning that if these states want a grant, and
if they want a grant,
they want to be reimbursed to work or to run federal elections, they're going to have to implement security issues.
Really? You want them to create security issues where there were none? I mean, as Freudian slips go,
just security issues. We're not trying.
Just create some security issues. You know, if you had a voting machine that's completely secure, can you just tinker around until some kid with a Game Boy can fuck it up?
Anything else, but we're saying that the machines have to be secured and that your voter registration.
Oh, so people like Tina Peters can't bring in some like maggot QAnon lunatic to open the back of the fucking thing up and look and download the software and put it on the fucking internet? You mean like that? You mean like Tina Peters secured the voting machines? They're kidding, right? He's kidding. I'm being filmed, aren't I? I'm being punked. I'm definitely being punked.
List needs to be scrubbed. We need to make sure that individuals that are legally able to vote are voting. We know that.
Okay, so we're going to force people to vote? I think what he means is people who aren't shouldn't. But if you're going to say people who are legally registered to vote should be voting, then I'm all for it, man. How about a fine? How about this? A $17.76 fine if you don't vote. How about that? If you're an American citizen and you're over 18 and you're not a convicted felon currently serving time or on parole, and you have the ability to vote, you're legally eligible to vote or naturalized citizen, then if you don't vote, we're going to fine you $17.76. How about that?
Iran hacked our state voter files and attempted to compromise, is the best word I can use, our systems where military members used to vote. So,
yeah, you mean they tried to break into the communications system that we use to talk to the troops overseas, including, like email routing and mail routing and that kind of stuff. They didn't just break into how soldiers vote when they're overseas. They tried to break into all of it, dummy.
Working with Secretary Hegseth and the DOW to safeguard those.
Yeah, I chose $17.76. My other choice is $47. See if Trump will pass it then. An asshat.
Systems and protect our military voters. What's frustrating again in this is that the Biden administration knew this. And our intel community knew this. And not only did they withhold it from President Trump in his first term, but they withheld it, it looks like, President Biden in his term.
Should we just, you want to hear that again? You want to hear that whole fucking sentence again?
This is that the Biden administration knew this.
The Biden administration knew this.
And our intel community knew this.
And the intel community knew it.
And not only did they withhold it from President Trump in his first term, but they withheld it, it looks like, President Biden in his term.
I see. So clearly it wasn't the Biden administration because the leader of that administration didn't know about it.
Withheld this information from the public. They withheld it from Congress.
Do you realize how much information the intelligence community withholds because it doesn't rise to the point of passing it on until maybe it does? This is just dumb. Like there's people trying to churn conspiracy where there is none, but this is just fucking ignorant. What the fuck do you think they do with incomplete intel that they have yet to fully vet or verify, or they're waiting for another shoe to drop or whatever? What do you think they do? Post it on in a laundromat on the fucking wall?
That should never happen again. And because of President Trump's leadership, we're not allowing that to happen. We're telling the American people not to scare them, but to ensure them that we are watching it. We're taking it serious. We will secure our elections. Underneath President Trump's directive, he has gave the Department of Homeland Security and myself the tools and the resources we need to secure the elections.
We've already had them, and you don't. And also, by the way, that's a lie, because he also cut all of our cybersecurity funding. He killed a lot of the programs that protect against this shit and have them running around looking for fucking roofers.
But we have to have the states partner with us.
Oh, the burn bag shit was hilarious. There were burn bags with evidence about the 2020 election that Obama left in 2016. Get the fuck out of here.
If they choose not to, then the voters should hold them accountable. When I was sworn in...
Or if they choose not to because they know you're trying to mess with the voter rolls and expunge American citizens and deny them the right to vote and try to centralize our elections so they are more vulnerable to foreign hacking, and they push back against that, you should reward them with your vote. How about that?
Just over 100 days ago by President Trump. And I can tell you honestly, I haven't quit smiling. I think this is the greatest job that I could possibly have. I said at that time that
I agree. I agree. This is the greatest job you could ever have. Doesn't mean you've earned it. Doesn't mean you deserve it. Doesn't mean the rest of us feel good. But this is definitely, you're bumping against your glass ceiling, buddy. This is the end of the line.
Going to fight for your yard and your backyard like I do mine, regardless if it's a blue state or it's a red state. Department of Homeland Security isn't just keeping you safe on your streets, but we're keeping our voters safe and our elections safe. But we can only do that if we have full participation.
No, that's actually not true. And especially when full participation means access to everyone's private voter information.
Right now, as I
who's voting and why?
said, we only have 23 states participating with us.
Yeah, because the other states don't need your fucking money, dummy.
Out of just 4 blue states, to repeat that number, we found 250,000 non-citizens registered to vote.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, we're going to take...
Did they vote? I don't give a fuck who's registered. Again, what you found is canvassers scamming people. Happens all the time. It's always happened. Show me where they voted. Show where that person that was illegal and didn't have the right to vote, that was registered, showed up at a polling place and someone checked the box next to their name. Do it. There's 250,000 of them. You can't name 10. I like this part just is so lazy. It's so fucking lazy.
Proactive and reactive measures.
Also managerial speak.
At President Trump's direction, our cybersecurity team and CISA will release an updated election infrastructure.
Oh, CISA? You mean after the department Trump cut?
Plan, and it'll be public within 30 days. Meaning that'll give the states the resources they need to help from the cyber side. From us,
they're supposed to, motherfucker. There's a fucking election in November, dummy. This is on schedule. Stop acting like shit that you are tasked to do, and Congress has written laws that set dates for things that by doing the bare minimum, you're doing some sort of magic. We're almost within 100 days of the election, stupid. That's what you're supposed to do.
They participate in the SAVE program. We'll provide the resources and training to support state election integrity.
So you're not gonna support the training for election integrity if they're not a part of the SAVE program. So what are you encouraging cheating? Is that the idea then?
Trying to change the outcome. We're trying to make sure that American people can trust our voting system.
Yeah, most of us actually do. For all the fucking flailing, everybody just votes. And when they go down to the voting booth, the only people who are like, that person should be there, are the clear Karens. And then they're like, what country are you from? And you're like, I'm from Ohio, you know.
Real ID does not prove citizenship and does not give you the right to vote.
Oh, that's the other part. So all the stuff with real ID, and you need a photo ID. That doesn't prove you have the right to vote. So they're just going to turn on real ID now. And also, why? Well, because maggots aren't getting real ID because they think it's the mark of the beast.
You must be a U.S. citizen and you must be eligible to vote.
Right. Yeah, we know.
Before and after the election, we will scrub all election records looking for illegal aliens and those who are ineligible to vote, including those that somehow voted, yet they were deceased.
Yeah, find like who? Like fucking who? Who? If the number is statistically measurable, if it's a meaningful fucking number, why don't you have it just here? This person voted for Biden. This is voted in a blue I don't know, a district that went for Trump, a district that went for Biden, right? Do it. If there's 250,000 of them, you should be able to find 5,000. This is the same shit we went through with Rudy Giuliani. He'd walk in with a stack of paper this high, and it was none of it was evidence. It was affidavits from people who thought they saw brown people too close. They were like, the polling place was near a Home Depot, and the Mexicans standing out front were giving them the skeeves. And so, like, I'm sure some of them just walked over and voted. They probably all voted. Like, that's not evidence. That's just rando racist shit. If Rudy Giuliani had anywhere near the case, he or Cindy Powell or whoever else he farted COVID on to during during 2021, if he had any of that information in late 2020 into 2021, all you have to do is sit there and go, this is, John Anderson, a.k.a. Julio Gonzalez. And Julio Gonzalez registered to vote on this date. You can see it right there. And he voted in this election because they keep track of the fucking thing. You can request them. They're commercially available. That's what the Chinese got a hold of. By the time you got to 1,000, people would go, oh my God, we've got to fix this. So fucking do it. As a matter of fact, the more they stand there and go, there's 200,000 of these and there's 400,000 dead people who are still registered to vote, even though they died between their registration and the last 2 elections. Show me where they voted. Do it. That should be easy enough to do, right? Check the death lists, like the obituaries. Line them up with the actual person. Make sure it's the actual person, not just a sound-alike, foreign-sounding name. And do it. How many of those cases would you have to show the American people before you actually got a groundswell? At this point, I'm just pissed because I'm doing this asshole's job for him. But this is the reality. Like, if they had these kind of numbers, if this was a real thing, just having non-voters on the rolls because head counters and paid canvassers scooped up names that weren't real or went through a fucking, went to an apartment building and just wrote down every name and all that kind of stuff and scribbled a fucking name. And now those people are registered to vote from the list on the mailboxes at the front of the building. That happens. Those people still didn't vote. And if they did, you'd see it. Same thing with dead people. And somebody like mailing in their ballot and then dying between the time they mailed it out and the time it was counted on election day. If they voted 30 days ahead and then keeled the fuck over, that's not somebody voting illegally. They tried that a bunch of times. That was Rudy Giuliani's big evidence about dead people voting. Living people who voted and then mailed their ballot in or dropped it off and then fucking died in the month after, before election day, or even slightly after election day. I don't like they were dead before their vote was actually run through the counting machine. It's fucking absurd.
If you're illegal and attempted to vote, or you tried to vote illegally for someone else, we will find you and we will charge you.
And then Trump will pardon you if you live in the villages in Florida and you voted for him 4 fucking times. Okay, hold on. 1 second. Yeah, here we go. Nope. Scroll this down. Here you go. There you go. Voter fraud at Florida GOP stronghold leads to a light sentence again. Quite a few Republican voters were caught casting illegal ballots in the 2020 race. In each case, judges didn't exactly throw the book at them. To the extent the U.S. has a retirement community known to national audiences, it's probably the villages. In Central Florida, as regular readers probably recall, it's also earned a reputation as far-right Republican stronghold. A couple of years ago, for example, when Trump promoted a video showing a parade of people in golf carts, one of them yelled white power. That was the villages. Okay. It was against this backdrop that we learned late last year that 3 residents of the villages were charged with voter fraud. A 4th soon followed. As we discussed at the time, according to local police reports, the accused tried to game the system by voting in Florida while also trying to cast absentee ballots in other states. Like, they committed voter fraud in multiple states. They were illegal in these other states. We found people registered illegally in other states. In this case, it was the same fucker voted, registered in 3 separate states. So there's a lot of double counting in Mullen's numbers, let's just assume, based on this. The accused tried to game the system by voting in Florida by also casting these. Okay, whatever happened to these charges? Circling back to our earlier coverage, 2 of the accused, Charles Barnes and Jay Ketchik, pleaded guilty to 3rd-degree felony. Though the charges could have resulted in prison sentences, they both got probation in Florida. Last week, they were joined by another resident of the villages who did the same thing. 3rd resident of the villages is admitted to voting twice during the 2020 election. Court records show that Joan Halstead, 73, entered a pretrial intervention program Wednesday that will allow her to avoid potential prison time because she's not a black woman who thought that she'd served her time and was back to being able to legally vote and made an honest mistake and ended up going back to jail for 5 years. Remember her? Yeah. This lady knew full well she wasn't allowed to vote twice. If she successfully completes court-ordered requirements such as performing community service and attending a civics class, like she didn't fucking know she couldn't vote twice. Halstead acknowledged her guilt as part of her agreement with prosecutors. No shit. It's worth noting for context that a registered Republican reportedly pleaded not guilty earlier this year, that Halstead. So she changed her plea. She pleaded not guilty, and then they showed her the evidence and she pleaded guilty. She changed it for the plea agreement. It was in May 2021 that we learned about Pennsylvania's Bruce Bartman, who cast an absentee ballot in support of Trump for his mother, who died in 2008. Bartman pleaded guilty to unlawful voting, conceding he listened to too much propaganda and was sentenced to 5 years probation. He was like, they're going to steal the election, so we got to steal it too. Remember that shit? That was that guy. A month later, Edward Snodgrass. Okay, we're living in we're in the silliest of simulations right now. Edward Snodgrass, a local Republican official in Ohio, wonder if they made him take a civics class. Mm. Admitted to forging his dead father's signature on an absentee ballot and then voting again as himself. NBC noted that Snodgrass struck a deal with prosecutors and was sentenced to 3 days in jail and a $500 fine. In August 2021, we learned of a Pennsylvania man named Robert Richard Lynn, who used a typewriter to complete an absentee ballot application on behalf of his deceased mother. After getting caught, faced up to 2 years behind bars, Lynn instead received a sentence of 6 months probation. Nevada's Donald Kirk Hurdle, meanwhile, became a cause celeb in Republican circles when he said someone cast a ballot for his late wife, and then we found out he fucking killed her. In November 21, we learned that it was Hurdle who illegally voted for his late wife, lied about it, got caught, pleaded guilty, and as part of the plea deal, he received a year-long probation. There was one guy who killed his wife. Where is it? That's a different guy. Oh, hold on. Remember that guy? Do you guys remember that? Or this is an older article. Remember the dude who killed his wife and then voted for Trump with her ballot? 3 months ago, Tracy K. McKee also pleaded guilty after she was caught casting a ballot for her deceased mother. She got probation. Colorado's Barry Morphew pleaded guilty to voting for Trump on behalf of his missing and presumed dead wife, and he received probation. That's the guy who killed his wife or was on trial for killing his wife, so I don't think they brought it up. See if that the Barry, yeah. Yeah, the husband of a Colorado woman who's been missing for more than 2 years pleaded guilty on Thursday to casting her mail-in ballot for Trump during the 2020 election, telling FBI agents, "I figured all these other guys are cheating." The man, Barry Morphew, 54, was given a sentence of 1 year of supervised probation, but avoided jail time after pleading guilty to one count of forgery, a felony in district court in Chaffee. Suzanne Morphew disappeared in May 2020 after going on a bike ride near her home. Her husband was charged with murdering his wife, but a few months ago, the charges against him were dropped after a judge accused prosecutors of violating discovery rules. His wife's body has never been found. I don't know what the status of that current case is. It's so aggravating. And so the stupids. Hold on. Where are we? Where are you? I had the old thing up, didn't I? It's not. Oh, this is. Okay. Oh, I had it. Sorry, I had it on the different window. My bad. Sorry. I have it on with my other clips, I thought, but here it is. All right. So we'll finish this out. Hit the like, share the show, by the way, if I'm teaching you anything. Maybe, hey, do we have any maggots that know about the people in the villages in Florida who admitted to voting multiple times for Trump and got a slap on the wrist? His wife's body was found ultimately? Wow.
Illegal voter registration and illegal voting both carry penalties up to 5 years in prison.
Right. Unless you're an old, like, white dude in the villages who rides a golf cart and yells white power, then you get a slap on the wrist.
And up to $250,000 in fines. We will pursue maximum pressure on this.
Maximum pressure on this. Notice they're not going to go for the maximum penalty because they're going to find a bunch of people in 2024 who voted a bunch of times for Trump.
To let you know, we will be proactively looking at early voting. And then after post-election, we will continue to scrub all those that did vote. Those states that don't participate with us, they have public records of those that voted, which is where we found the 250,000 from the 4 states that don't participate with us.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't. That's not a list of people who voted. That's a list of people who are registered to vote.
We will go through those records.
His trial is now July 2027. Good. Is he in custody during this time?
One by one, and we will pursue everybody.
Yeah, you're right. Pleaded is proper English. I apologize.
We will make sure that people know they can trust our elections. If states want the grant funding, to recap, they must secure the elections.
So you already read that part, and you're going to go back and reread it like Trump does?
I want to thank President Trump's proactive approach to this.
For being proactive?
He has put together a remarkable team that not only is informing the public about what's going on, but
so far what's going on is the normal job of DHS done poorly.
we're also informing Congress, we're informing our states, and we're going to secure our elections. States must be aware of the real threats for voter registration and the system breaches. And I do want to reemphasize the system breaches.
Okay, tell us about the actual system breaches.
Our machines are vulnerable.
No. Are vulnerable is not actual breaches. Can anybody spot the difference?
That can be made right now that can secure those. I would ask not just the public, but the media. That question should be asked of blue states, because we have red states participating with us. We have some red states that aren't.
You have red states that are participating, the ones that need grant money, and you've given block grant access to. So guess what? They take your stupid fucking voter intimidation money and they just use it to patch holes in their budget.
Every state that's not participating with us should be asked the hard question: why not?
Because they pay for it themselves and they're supposed to be in charge of their own elections.
What are you afraid of?
Donald Trump getting access to your voter rolls, having ultimately control over those voter rolls, and having through that access using people that he knows through Doge and others to expunge legitimate voters.
If they're not willing to do it, it should raise serious questions. It's not that hard. This isn't a partisan issue. So, in conclusion, to recap,
you know, it should be easy: releasing all the Epstein files.
Under President Trump,
this sounds a lot like a tap dance around that shit.
Leadership, DHS is well prepared to support all states, red states, blue states, and local election officials ahead of the midterms. States must,
because it's your job,
do their part to secure our election system.
Right. And if they are, and you say they aren't, you are actually violating the rights of the citizens of that state. If you have evidence that there's cheating going on, fucking say it. And if you want to bust canvassers who hand in bullshit signatures, do it. Nobody cares. The candidates are getting fleeced by that, stupid.
We stand by to help. If you are an illegal or you're voting illegally, we will hunt you down, we will find you, and we will prosecute you.
Very, very exciting. It's very macho, and we're all really impressed down here.
The American people must have confidence in our elections. Election security is not a partisan issue, and Homeland Security, we're here to support everybody. The American people, the states, even the media, to get access and the information they need to hold the states accountable. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
You're going to help the states hold the states accountable? You mean the red states that take tax money from the blue states and then flush it down the toilet? Don't educate their kids with the money it's supposed to go there? Don't give them school lunches, even though that's where the money's supposed to go? Don't secure their elections? Florida.
Yes, ma'am. I think I like the Daily Caller better than the Daily Mail. I really don't like the Daily Mail. Yeah.
He tries to be cute a couple of times. He talks to like one of the women in a red dress, like, way to stand out. Yes, Boston Brian. He's in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. They're still celebrating the 250th. The red, white, and blue chocolate is a little funky, I gotta say. I'm not sure if it's white chocolate that's been dyed or all of it's been dipped in something terrible, but it just doesn't sell. I'd rather just have a bomb pop.
First of all, great question. Thank you. When we start talking about can we ensure that the midterm elections are going to be secure? Yes, we absolutely can build confidence in the American people, but the states have to do their part.
No, but. No, you can't. Your answer is if the states aren't doing it and you've got plausible reasons to believe that votes are being disenfranchised or illegal people are voting, the answer is fucking no. So nut up and fucking say it, you chimp. This is so aggravating. You can't spend the whole time going, we're not, there's a lot of, they're vulnerable. Foreign adversaries can hack into our elections. You can't say that. And then when she goes, but the midterms are fine. Yeah, shit, sure. Yeah, midterms are fine. Unless it's a state that doesn't, work with us, this administration specifically, because, if we can rig it, then it's trustworthy. But if they run it themselves, we just need some sort of way of, plausible deniability for being fucking losers.
I will tell you, if the states that choose not to participate with the state program and they choose not to participate in securing the elections, we will make sure that we make those states a priority to look at who voted in their states and hold then the election officials accountable. If the election officials, once we gave them the information they need to secure their elections, and they chose not to.
Oh, you mean like all the fake fucking electors that Trump's allies put in that he pardoned? You mean like that? Where the state voted one way and they said, and like the GOP and Trump and his allies set up a second slate of electors to try and throw the election for an entire state for every voter in that state, including, by the way, people who may have voted for him but didn't want to win that way, which I have to believe there's at least, 12 of those people in a state? Those folks, you're going to go back and arrest all the fake electors again? I'm dead serious.
Then those individuals can also be held accountable.
Accountable. I got to tell you, I'm getting so tired of the word accountable. I really am. It's a little silly. We need accountability. We need accountability. That sounds like you're just making. I'm making a mark in my book. You did a boo-boo. Check. We are keeping account. I'm gonna get. You wait. You think this is bullshit, but I'm giving this directly to St. Peter. Why? Trump will just pardon them.
Fines, by penalties, and even, depending on how far it goes, prison time.
Yeah, unless, of course, again, they're old white people in the villages.
Let me get the follow-up question, and I'll get to you.
Yes, Candy, tremendously accountable. The accountability is that we're accounting right now, while the accounting is going on, is so we're being held accountable for how much accountability we're able to make an account of.
I'll say yes.
The president has mentioned federal intelligence officials who cover this up and kept it from him, from President Biden. Do you have an estimate of how many intelligence officials were involved in this?
He said a bunch of people covered this stuff up and didn't share it with him or Biden. Do you know specifically who the fuck are these people? I don't want to.
There's no question.
I mean, John Radcliffe was running the place when all this shit went down in 2020.
The intelligence community from the FBI.
Like, I love accountability when it actually happens, but it sounds like a softball word. I mean, I would like Trump to have gone to prison instead of just be found guilty of, whatever, 35 fraud charges. Accountability. There's an accounting of his guilty plea. There's an accounting of him being called that it being reasonable that he was adjudicated as a rapist in the E. Jean Carroll case. I would like a little more than just someone keeping an account, like a snitch list.
Than other places within DHS, not underneath President Trump's leadership, but that was underneath the Biden administration, kept it from President Trump and the American people in Congress.
Sorry, real quick.
Community from the FBI, CIA, and even other places.
Okay, FBI, CIA, and other places kept it from President Trump. What?
Within DHS, not underneath President Trump's leadership, but that was underneath the Biden administration.
So, sorry. What? As a private citizen who was no longer president? I beg your pardon. What was he entitled to? I'm dead serious. Like, how do you keep it from him when he's now a private citizen? Especially when it, by their own showing, and the the information that he posted shows that there was not any meddling that they could find that statistically warranted it, it even being in the PDB. Holy shit.
Kept it from President Trump and the American people in Congress. We are currently going through those lists. We will hold each one of them accountable. Some people aren't here. Some people
What, they kick off?
are no longer in the agencies. Those that are, we will be held accountable. Those that abused their role in this will definitely be held accountable because.
So I guess Ratcliffe and Rick Grinnell are going to get a big grilling.
Because there is no excuse if you purposely disobeyed the law, and you purposely went around statute.
Purposely.
Then you have an accountability. You have a legal reason to be held accountable. Yes, sir.
Yeah, who's holding people accountable for shit that legally has no merit? Tan suit, that'd be it.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, there seems to be a lot of, I think it might be the vertical YouTube thing or whatever. This is my final audience participation thing. If you know me from something else besides just this live stream, what is it? You only have to pick one.
Associated Press that was pulling close to the officer to say that he experienced and helping through his whole life lifelong history of violence. He's never been given a badge, a gun. What do you say, sir, to those Americans who are concerned that great?
Sir, I have not heard that at all. But we understand that it's being investigated, and we'll allow the investigation to go through.
It's about the ICE agent that shot the guy through the car window, having a history of violence, and why was he given a badge and a gun? Good question, which is why he went, I don't know. We'll look into it.
That's all I'm going to say about that. Yes. Yes. I got back here in the back. Yeah.
Excellent. Got a bunch. Queers folks and Spider-Man 2s and Dude, Where's My Car? There you go. All right, I Love the 80s. There we go. Celebrity duets. How about that? Yeah. Where I got to sing with Little Richard.
Everybody that purposely misled the American people, abused their power and their authority.
Oh, so you're going to arrest Trump? Or you need some help?
And decided not to continue.
I'm ready for that fucking frog march.
Doing their job.
You're basically, you're effectively describing Trump's campaigns.
Will be held accountable. What does that accountability look like? I don't know. Is it criminal? We'll pursue criminal charges. If it is not criminal, we'll make sure you never work for the federal government again and you never have the ability to have a clearance again. Yes, right here.
Well, yeah, that's what we were trying to do with the impeachment, especially around January 6th. 56.
I will look this way next, I promise.
Some of your numbers, you have 278,000 non-citizens. Any indication how many people actually voted?
There you go. How many people actually voted?
400,000 actually deceased. Any indication, total number of people that did vote?
Yeah. Did any of the people who are registered or dead actually vote? Do you have a number on that?
Ballpark for how many of these people actually voted?
Yeah, just a ballpark. He's asking for a ballpark number. It's a little quiet, so if I'm just repeating it.
So those that we've identified, the 278,000 non-citizens and the 400,000 deceased, we are now going through that record. We're standing up an apartment in DHS. Heather Honey, who is doing a great job exposing all this and working with the team together.
Sorry, no. If she's, you don't expose the fact that people, again, are registered when they don't have the right to vote because that's somebody else. That's not even that person's problem. If somebody takes your name and registers you to vote and you have no interest in it, or they just like, hey, you want to fill out this thing, and you fill it out and then you find out later it was a voter registration that wasn't what you wanted, or you didn't know you were doing that. That's their crime, not yours, period. And also the dead people, that there are dead people on the voter rolls, again, is a factor of life, period. So no, you're not standing stuff up and getting to the bottom of stuff yet. If you're just showing, it's like showing, we've noticed that there's lines in the middle of the road, and we understand that there's a potential for car accidents there. So she's really going after the potential for car accidents there by pointing out that there's a line in the middle of the road.
Edlo with USCIS and other teams, we are going through these files one by one. And one, identify an individual. Two, did they vote? And three, where did they vote at? That's it's easy with states that participate. So the 28,000.
Awesome. And the ones that you find out voted in a district that Trump won, And when those numbers start to climb, wait, you think we'll hear about it? When we find out that we only got a small sampling of the fraud that went on in the villages and West Palm Beach and all those areas, what do you think? You think they're going to dump a bunch of names on us?
That we identified with the 23 states that are working with us, that system can be very easily exposed. All 28,000.
Yeah, you should have doged the shit out of it last spring, dummy.
The problem is an activist judges now have put a hold on it, so we're pending the case.
No. Some states are not all states. Do it in the states that you have access to. The problem is the states you have access to are the ones that Trump won, and it looks bad for him.
This some bullshit. We see through it.
Okay, so you get the point. This is a waste of fucking time and yada, yada, yada. But I want to jump to something real quick because the reaction to the speech was especially what the setup was. Here was the setup yesterday from Glenn Beck. I'll give you an example. So, huge announcement. It was I'm sorry, I'm in front of the question mark. That's my bad. Huge announcement. I don't know why he's up against a firing squad wall. A little creepy there, Glenn. Could this be Trump's big announcement for tonight? All right, what?
In Peter Schweizer, host of The Drill Down, also the author of The Invisible Coup. And
also, why the fuck do you have John Lennon and Che Guevara, among other people, behind you, and Nelson Mandela? And there's light on my screen, so I'm fairly certain that's Jimmy Stewart and Lucille Ball. I can't see up in the corners. I see hat.
The president of Government Accountability Institute. Hi.
Oh, yeah, the president. Wow. It's a good thing you're not getting one of the employees. Oh, right, there aren't any.
Peter, how are you?
I fucking hate these. I'm just going to start my own NGO and make myself the, the CEO, the CFO, and the CFU.
Hey, I'm good, Glenn. Great to be with you as always. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So what do you think the president's going to say tonight?
Sorry, the Government Accountability Institute. How is that pronounced? Yeah, you just want the gay president. Okay, cool. Congratulations on him being our first gay president, I guess, that we know of. Well-known gay president or something like that.
I think he's going to focus on several aspects of foreign interference. I think China is going to be a central player in that.
Right, because he can't bring up the Russian part because clearly they were trying to help him, as the actual documents he released showed.
And I base that on, where the information chain has been going.
Because you've been talking to John Solomon and you guys hang out?
And
you've been trying to steer him that way?
Regards to some of the documents that have been declassified. And I would say front and center in this.
Sorry, so the documents have already been declassified. This is from before the speech, so there was nothing new in this? Yeah, no shit. Okay, you get the point. Like, beforehand, they're like, I think it's going to believe China. And then, what do you know? What are the odds, ladies and gentlemen? Huge bombshell. Did you see the huge bombshell? I heard this, huge snot gob stuck in his throat the whole time.
President never said last night.
Oh, he's very upset.
That the election was stolen.
Right, because he can't. Because it wasn't. Yeah, we know. He fucking tacos. This is his big, the election was rigged and stolen. And then he didn't even say rigged or stolen.
Break a taco, take a bite. Trump always chickens out, so it's gonna be alright. Break a taco, take a bite. Trump always chickens out.
What a tit. Dude, of course he didn't say it. Shithead. It can't be said. They're going to release the information, and the information he released was there was no Russia, Russia, Russia. Mueller was fucking right.
Last night that they had stolen the election or stuffed the ballot box or anything like that.
No, he just said rigged all the time, which is you're supposed to infer that. It's the coward's way of implying something.
What the president showed last night were documents that proved.
He showed no documents last night.
China ran the largest known theft of American voter data in history.
And what they got was stuff that is commercially available.
220 million files. That's your name, your address.
Yeah, the only thing they're guilty of is not paying for it, you fucking moron.
Your phone number, your party affiliation, everything.
Not everything. The legally available stuff. The stuff that people buy in campaigns. By the way, one of the ways they got it, like Russia got all that stuff, is they hacked the RNC and they hacked the DNC. And the DNC has all the Democratic shit, and the RNC has all the Republican shit, and both of them have all the independent shit.
Dedicated exploitation unit in Beijing. They have a whole building for this, okay?
You mean Trump's buddy Xi, who he gets along with very good, very well, and he thought during COVID he was being very professional?
Now, I want to give the fact checkers, the first bonus point, because on the nose, look at you. You can do some work.
Fuck you, you lazy prick.
There is no evidence, none, that China reached into a voting machine and flipped a ballot or changed the outcome of 2020. But that wasn't the charge.
It was meant to be the inference. That's what cowards do, dummy.
The media is treating this story as if that's what the claim was, but that's not the claim. The outcome was never the frightening part here.
The outcome is what Trump disputes all the time. The outcome of the election, he says it was rigged. He says he won 3 times. Remember that? Yes, it fucking is.
There are 2 things that you need to know that were discussed last night, and I'm going to lay them out in the next 15 minutes, okay?
I don't have time for that. Whip it out, W. Expose it.
Okay, so just hold on with me.
No, just say it.
First point, according to the declassified material,
Russia wanted Trump to win.
A hostile foreign power known as China spent years assembling a file of 220 million American voters, names, addresses, phone numbers, party, everything.
Right. During Obama, during Trump, during Biden. Yeah. They're a surveillance state of their own fucking people. And
everything. The rhythm of when you show up and when you don't go out to vote. Important information. And
yeah, you know why it's available to them? The same way it's available to Mark Wayne Mullen, which is why they can look at it and see if anybody who was, here's a good idea. Holy shit. I don't know why it took me this long, Glenn. Thanks a lot. How about this? Mark Wayne Mullen can call fucking China and ask them if the 400,000 dead people or the 270,000 illegally registered people voted. Because they know if you showed up. You know how they know? Because they've got access to the same information that Mark Wayne Mullen does. What are you talking about? Have Trump, Xi, thank you very much. Thanks for playing along on my bullshit tariff thing. Did dead people vote in our elections? Can you check the list? You've got a list, right?
Response that the media is giving you today is, most of it's public anyway. You can buy all of that stuff.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, that's true.
Yes. Yes, it is. It's true.
And it is precisely the opposite thing to find comforting.
No. We didn't say it was comforting, dum-dum. As a matter of fact, I don't think it should be commercially available. That's not the same fucking thing. No. We're not saying relax, you could buy that shit. We're saying it's bad that you could buy it. And the idea that like China hacked in to get something when they more than likely just purchased it as a fake NGO or pretending to be a university or something. Good Lord.
Any one fact on that list is harmless. Your address is not a weapon. Your party registration is not a weapon. The weapon is the assembly. The 220 million profiles.
Right, which is why Trump wants them for the federal government to track. That's why Trump wants access to all of them. That's what the Save America Act is for. He wants all that information given to the White House while he's president, with the assumption that with that information, they can manipulate the electorate in a way that will guarantee them control of the White House, the House and Senate going forward. The idea is that you wouldn't want either to have it. The Save America Act is like, look, China has access to all this stuff. It's, that they bought and they accumulated over time. Might not be up to date, whatever. They got bigger fish to fry. But Trump wants all that stuff, and he always does what's best for every American, especially the states and citizens who didn't vote for him or don't like him. He never goes after them, never denies them, FEMA funds.
The hands of one regime, the one regime on earth that has already shown us in broad daylight what it does with information like that.
What do you, one? Are you fucking nuts? What do you think Russia does with it? What do you think North Korea does with it? What Iran does with it when they have it? One regime?
Algorithm. What does it do with that data? This is a country that
I'll tell you what it does. It sells the company that was running the algorithm to one of Trump's fucking friends while he calls it Tic Tac and keeps it running, even though all of the information, all that stuff that feeds the algorithm still goes through Beijing, dum-dum. And Trump's like, I'm number one on Tic Tac.
Dum 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 stupid dum silly stupid dum dum dopey dippy dum.
This guy, I guess this is a way to handle the speech. It's better than turd polishing.
The recommendation engine on the phone in your kid's hands. By controlling what you or your family sees is power. Now, nobody has proven they've used it that way.
Oh, my God. First of all, yeah, they have. Secondly, right about the time people really start bringing it up, especially in Congress, who attacks those people for bringing it up in Congress and defends TikTok? Donald fucking Trump. You gibbon. Ugh. It's so embarrassing. Like, this is so lame. All right. I'm blazing through this amount of, I want to show, I got to find this though real quick. So this morning, there were a bunch of stations I was looking forward to checking on after Trump's little, blather, his gobbing on America for our 250. I wanted, I was waiting to see Fox and Friends and other groups, talking about like, hey, that was a great speech. He was so powerful and forceful and strong, right? No. That was pretty goddamn hideous. It was they didn't, so let me see if I can I'll start this up at the beginning. Yeah, here you go. Pause this.
Hello.
One sec. Shut up. They went to here, and then he goes to this, and it sells a bunch of shit. And then hold on. Is this the same one where he's yelling?
Okay. All right. Well, that's true.
Okay, yeah. So this is the feed in here. So they took off the top of the show this morning. Yeah. Okay, we're like, let's see what he's. Yeah. This is the stuff that they were that they're clinging to. Also in mid 2018, China was working to influence the results, excuse me, the results of the U.S. midterm elections and later the results of the 2020 U.S. presidential elections. As part of this campaign, China was analyzing the 2015 U.S. presidential election and identifying U.S. states who voted for the U.S. president. The Chinese would then identify sectors within these states that voted to support the U.S. president's political party and would attempt to make these sectors experience negative financial consequences by levying tariffs on exports to China from those sectors. This is the whole they attacked the farmers while they were there because they weren't buying stuff. Now, they did it this time too. They fucked off from buying soybeans from us and went and bought $20 billion worth of soybeans from Argentina just after we gave Argentina $20 billion for apparently nothing, just to shore up their currency. The Chinese hope that these measures would induce representatives from these sectors to lobby the U.S. president to be more favorable to China. Is anyone surprised by this? Does this sound like election manipulation? Other than getting people in those areas to possibly call their, okay, these are the areas that went for Trump. If we can, make them realize how much they use us or need us or whatever, maybe they'll bitch up the chain. Well, guess what? That's exactly what fucking happened. Trump bent over backwards with his stupid his three-phase trade deal with China. How far did that go? Anybody? The three-phase, any maggots know the extent of the three-phase China deal? What was in phase 2? I've always wondered. Maybe you guys know what was in phase 3. I know you know what was in a third of phase 1 because that's how much China lived up to, which was less than they normally buy of American food goods during a time when Americans were in food lines because COVID had shut everything down. Yes, Donald Trump. Apparently, according to maggots, if I've got this right, maggots, feel free to correct me on this. COVID was a hoax perpetuated by a hoax that escaped a lab in China, and so the pharmaceutical companies could create a vaccine to kill us all and depopulate everybody. And the person who sped that up was Donald Trump with Operation Fart Steed, if you'll recall. And he, accelerated the vaccine program, right? Pre-bought it from every company. He was going to have Walmarts all over the country, have military trucks parked in them, and they would all give us the jab right in the Walmart parking lot. Remember that? Of course, that never happened because A, it was stupid, and B, he lost the election. And then he had this, he had this three-phase deal with China where he wanted to finish it before he started working on COVID because he didn't want to embarrass China. Remember that? Anybody? Any maggots want to take about it? So it was a hoax perpetuated by, that escaped a lab. It was a lab leak. It was a hoax that was leaked out of a lab and that Fauci pretended was a hoax that escaped via a wet market, but really it was released by a wink, wink lab leak. That's what we really mean, don't we? It built it in the lab because they were building a bioweapon and it snuck out. Isn't that what we're supposed to infer? And Donald Trump was president during the biggest bioweapon attack in the history of the world, during which of over 1 million Americans died from the lab leaked pathogen, right? 1 million Americans died because of this. And he rewarded the people that leaked it with the largest order of beef, pork, corn, and soybeans in one fell swoop that they'd ever bought. Because they bought it all they bought 6 months worth of shit in 1 month. But still, while Americans were on food lines because our entire economy was shut down. Am I getting that right? And a bunch of you fuckers charged up the White House steps and attacked police officers and were going to kill his vice president because you thought after such a great response to COVID, there is no way he could have lost that election. What am I missing? P.S. Last night, he specifically admitted through the release of documents that he put out and his evasion of what's in those documents that while China may have wanted to mess with the narrative around our elections, Russia was doing everything it could to materially help Donald Trump get elected. They said it. The intelligence community knew it. It was in his PDB. He ignored it, and he pretended that Russia was a hoax they were coming after him for when he saw the evidence himself. Well, I mean, besides participating in it. But it's not, I was curious. Is it evidence if it's your murder weapon? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're the killer and you've got the smoking gun in your hand, it's not evidence, right? It's just your murder weapon. It's only evidence if you're somebody else, right? Okay, just clarifying. It's so fucking lazy. So last night Trump admitted that Mueller was right to go after what he went after, and that all the stuff about Burisma, sorry, I'm mispronouncing it, is the company that he worked for. What was that? How do you pronounce it?
Burmese.
Right, that's what it was.
The Burmese executives. So this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese.
Do they? Did anybody actually fucking say that?
The company that his son worked for, that's Burmese.
Burmisma. Okay. So which of those 5 different ways of pronouncing it, which we all now know, not just from the truth coming out about Hunter Biden's relationship with the company and the fact that it didn't fucking lead to any manipulation of the Biden administration, didn't change a fucking thing. They didn't vote for or against anything based on Hunter being on that board. Not a fucking thing. And we know that now. You know how we know that? Because Kash Patel isn't even bothering to look for the laptop anymore. Remember the laptop? Isn't it at the FBI? Got all the stuff on it. Come on. Even if you can't try him on it because he's been pardoned on a federal level by his dad for tax stuff, that doesn't mean you can't go to a state and go, hey, you want to press charges for human trafficking or whatever else you want, right? You can still do that. You can hand off the evidence to a state. The FBI does it all the time, right? Why don't they? Besides the fact that it's fucking fake. Well, last night, Donald Trump releases a bunch of documents that say that Russia was concocting the Burmisma bullshit to try and harm Joe Biden going into the election because they specifically wanted Donald Trump to win. And again, I don't think they like him. I don't think he's an asset or a Russian agent. I think he's too stupid for that. I think they wanted a chaos agent and they got one. Beth has the laptop tonight. It's around somewhere, I know.
Burmese.
Uh-huh. Really? This is your dude, right?
The Burmese executives. So this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese.
How about just that? Let's just settle on one thing. I know there's a lot in there. It's really hard for you guys to reverse on things, but we can all agree that nobody told him to pronounce it Burmisma or Burmesia, right? Hal, you need to get Hunter on. I feel like he owes you. I would love to have Hunter Biden on the show. I would love that. Because I think in one of the interviews he said, he's like, the laptop, he goes, I own it. And he meant it emotionally. It's my fault because of the stuff that's on it. But the laptop they have is the one he and his attorney turned over for the tax case, not the one, this waterlogged bullshit hard drive that Matt Gaetz tried to get entered into the congressional record and was denied. They took a break, came back, and were like, I'd like to enter in this thing that is alleged to have been the blah, 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 because they knew it was full of bullshit as well. And that's in the congressional record. And besides Marjorie Taylor Greene putting dick pics up on giant placards, what came of it? What? What's coming of it now? What did Bungholio do as soon as he got in? He's like, what? Where's the fucking laptop? Let me see it. Crack that fucker open. Get their tech guys in here. I want a fresh read off that laptop. I want a copy of the laptop hard drive, the hard drive named laptop, wink, 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 to cause confusion when people talk about it, like the Washington Post going, how we verified Hunter Biden's laptop, which they never fucking did. I broke that down a long time ago. Very proud of that video. Very proud of that breakdown. A hard drive named laptop is not a laptop. If you don't believe me, try typing on one. So, like, if you were Bungholio and you sold all this shit, why didn't you barge the fuck in there on day one? Day fucking one. And go, I want the laptop as it, bring it in here. I got deputy, believe me, the deputy director would have the right to look at evidence and view it. Especially if it's already been, dusted for prints. See the physical thing. Bring in your text. Bring in the hard drive. Match them up. That's an afternoon. Right? He was bitching about sitting in there with four walls, bored stiff every day, away from his wife. Remember that? Why the fuck weren't you going through the Epstein files, you dumb motherfucker? Why weren't you going through Hunter Biden's laptop? Why weren't you looking at the FBI and the CIA information on, Burisma's dealings with, the Bank of Cyprus? And why not? Or shit, why wouldn't you? How about this? This is a good one. Why wouldn't you go in and go, what was behind all that story about Trump having a server in his building that was pinging Alpha Bank in Russia? Where'd that come from? How dare they? I don't even have to go after the source. I will check with the boss, and then I'm going to go down to the site. I'm sure he'll let me in. Right? Why not that? The amount of access these people have, the amount of access the President of the United States has, and that speech is what you got last night, where he didn't even say it was stolen or rigged. He didn't say it. Can you imagine? I think that's the first speech I've ever heard him give where he didn't mention, he didn't say the word rigged. I'm just realizing that. He didn't. You know what a big deal that is? The day you're going to present all this goddamn evidence and you couldn't even say the word rigged? He didn't say it was stolen, like Glenn Beck said? You don't find that hinky? That's not a little curious to you? Seems like, I mean, the speech should have been called rigged. Shit, I'm surprised he didn't have a goddamn banner that dropped down like Mission Impossible, or Mission Accomplished, which just said rigged, proof rigged, right? And what came of it? An admission that Russia actively tried to help him win and that they were actively attacking Biden with a bullshit story that they knew was a lie to just diminish Biden leading up to the election so Trump could win. That's in the stuff they released. Hold on one second. What is it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, we'll look at a couple of these. Yeah. Here's what it actually said. This is, and again, The dude, he didn't. Trump couldn't even say fucking rigged. He couldn't even say it in the speech. You think he's going to frog march Democrats that threw the election and all that shit? You think he has evidence of that? And he couldn't even say rigged in his big election denial speech? Trump election documents reveal China, Russia targeted Joe Biden. Previously classified documents that the White House posted online on Thursday indicate that China and Russia targeted former President Joe Biden's campaign during the 2020 election. The documents were released as President Trump's used a primetime address to the nation to raise doubts about the legitimacy, blah, blah, blah. Trump alleged that his administration had uncovered evidence that Chinese operatives had exploited vulnerabilities in the U.S. voting system, which again is to make it sound like they hacked the fucking machines, and they absolutely did not. And the you can see in the CIA talking, the memos, they're like, they had this memo, because the memo actually said, like, yeah, there wasn't anything that actually happened. We'll keep an eye on it, but a Newsweek review of the documents posted on the White House's website found no evidence supporting Trump's claim that foreign interference or fraud had altered the outcome of any election, including the 2020 presidential election. The president's latest allegations have already come under scrutiny from dozens of lawmakers and Democratic leaders who say they amount to little more than unsubstantiated conspiracy theories. It's the same shit Giuliani and Sidney Powell and all those dipshits were saying that was false before, and it's false now. The only thing that was added that's new is that he intentionally ignored, or his people were intentionally, Grinnell or Ratcliffe, were intentionally not passing on shit about Russia helping him so that he could have plausible deniability when he was lying about the rigging. And despite the president's stated concerns, he's overseen significant cuts to the federal government's cybersecurity agency, I mentioned that before, that has helped warn state and local election officials about potential threats from foreign governments during his second term. Newsweek has contacted the White House for comment, blah, blah, blah. Okay, documents posted on the White House's website were presented without context and include selectively released pieces of investigation files. Shocker. Epstein files, anyone? Intelligence analysis and correspondence. Does this remind anybody of the 3 minutes that turned into 9 minutes that turned into, you can't even trust the numbers at all on the jail footage for Epstein? From the one camera where you couldn't see anybody? All right. One document identified as a memo from the CIA in the summer of 2020 said intelligence officials had detected Chinese state-sponsored cyber actors targeting the former vice president's presidential campaign, probably to gather intelligence that could enable future operations ahead of the 2020 election. But it noted that intelligence community assesses that China does not currently intend to covertly interfere to try to sway the outcome of the election, though this activity could enable such operations if Beijing made a decision to do so. Basically gathering information on both candidates, so in case they needed to use it, they'd have some compromise. Same reason Russia hacked the RNC and the DNC, except in the case of the DNC, they dumped stuff to keep Hillary from getting elected, and in the case of the RNC, they held on to the stuff to blackmail people. Okay. Another document, a National Intelligence Council assessment of foreign threats to the 2020 elections, noted that intelligence officials assess that Russia was using a range of measures primarily to denigrate former Vice President Biden and what it sees as an anti-Russia establishment. The document said that Russia was directing or encouraging proxies to spread claims about Biden. Proxies. Gee, who could that be, Ron Johnson? Could it possibly be Donald Trump and his family? And some Kremlin-linked actors. Do the people who are getting the tenant media money, like Benny Johnson, count? I think they do. Why not? Are also seeking to boost President Trump's candidacy on social media. TYT. Anyways, it added that Russian President Vladimir Putin and senior Russian officials are overseeing efforts by proxy. So this is directed by the Kremlin to spread claims about Biden, as well as Ukrainian politicians and alleged Ukrainian influence in the 2016 election. These figures are conspiring to intensify a conspiracy. Wow, you don't say. To intensify their efforts as the election approaches to orchestrate a high-profile corruption scandal implicating former Vice President Biden and the Democratic Party at the peak of the 2020 U.S. presidential campaign. And so I guess we're supposed to believe that Trump didn't know this was happening and just managed to repeat every one of their talking points verbatim. It added, their aim is to defeat the former vice president and ensure the president's victory. Trump has previously dismissed the assessment from U.S. intelligence officials that Russia favored him in the 2016 and 2020 and engaged in wide-ranging influence campaigns aimed at boosting him over Biden in the latter campaign. And he has just released documents that says they did. And that he ignored or dismissed those things while repeating the very talking points that Russia was trying to push onto the Biden campaign and affect them with. And again, I'm sure this was a complete coincidence. I'm sure it was just luck of the draw. Maybe they were just taking his words and going, wow, this guy's such a great speaker. We should just use whatever he says about Biden. We're not going to feed him anything. He's so good at this. Or, yeah, probably that's what happened. Because Carter Page was probably not a courier that went back and forth between Russia and the RNC with a little pouch with shit he promised not to read. So he'd have plausible deniability and just bumped into Russians backstage at the RNC, rando, and managed to have a folder, maybe lay that folder down someplace. Really? At a summit with Putin in Helsinki in 2018, Trump openly questioned his own intelligence agencies, finding that Russia had meddled in the 2016 election to his benefit, which is par for the course. And again, this is reason numero uno honcho why the idea that he's lying about Russia, and calling it a hoax and all that kind of stuff because it's to benefit him. Which he was clearly doing now, and we know this because of documents he released, because he's stupid, and he's so jealous of having, lost that election legitimately, and to some degree, maybe even fearing that people will find that maybe somebody like Elon Musk helped him win the 2024 election, or he fears that becoming a groundswell amongst maggots who are like, well, he wasn't that popular. It is a little weird, right? But this is one of those things where he chose Russia over our own intelligence people, and we now find out that he was ignoring on purpose information he was being given, or the people around him that he had hired intentionally kept it away from him because he'd asked them to, so he could have plausible deniability. Turns out he was lying about this the same way he was lying about no new wars and everything was going to be cheaper and affordability, it was a hoax that would go away. Reacting to this on Friday, Hunter Biden, go Hunter, said Putin last night, Donald Trump released a declassified document that says his own intelligence community identified Putin as personally running an operation to defeat my father in 2020, built around a fake Burisma corruption scandal centered around me and executed through prominent Americans. Trump tasked his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, to fly to Kyiv and meet with a known Russian agent. Yes, and this is true, and this is where he allegedly bought the hard drive titled laptop for $5 million when the dude was only selling it for $3 million. So I guess the extra $2 million was for exclusivity so that Rudy could hang on to a fucking copy of it. He continued, the Americans who ran, laundered, and legitimized the operation, Donald Trump, Giuliani, John Solomon, who was also at the White House last night for this bullshit, Joe DeGeneva, Victoria Tensing, Lev Parnas, Igor Fruman, Chanel Rigon, Sean Hannity, Steve Bannon, Miranda Devine, who wrote the shit book, and nobody's called her on it. And she's just now on this weird treadmill of bullshitting for the Trump administration via the New York, but she used to work at the New York Post. Now she's just a rando Newsmax and Fox guest at this point, I think. Ken Vogel, Ron Johnson, Chuck Grassley, James Comer, Jim Jordan, to name a few. An operation formally sanctioned by Trump's own Treasury Department on September 10th, 2020, and expanded to include more named actors on January 11, 2021. Oh, and don't forget the Russian-linked FBI informant Alexander Smirnov, who later pleaded guilty to making the entire Burisma bribery story up. The record exists, and we all have the receipts and more. Sparks Biden 2028. I think we'd benefit having a vice president who's known the challenges of addiction and who's gotten through it and turned his life around. Plus, I think we could take down all that gold shit in the Oval Office and his art would be a nice replacement. Trump says China tried to undermine his reelection. Oh, did they? While you were giving them everything and saying they were being professional and you had a great relationship? So, again, what's all this 1 in a million talk? The Chinese government wanted the U.S. president to lose the next election. And the reason they wanted me to lose is because they knew I was wise to them. What? Anybody, go back and watch the 2020 shit about him and China and, protecting them from guilt over COVID in the first place, saying they're making a deal and he trusts Xi Jinping. You were wise to them? What the fuck? He argued that his tariffs and China policies made him a target of Beijing's influence efforts. Every president is a target of China's influence efforts. They're a crony capitalist, fake communist dictatorship. They don't like countries that vote or have freedom of speech at all. Of course, every American president will have a bullseye on them, figuratively. He also alleged that Chinese government sought to identify U.S. journalists who had reported negatively on him and pay them large sums of money to write more negative articles. Who? Here's what I want to know. Sought? They sought to identify? So they were not able to identify any writers, major U.S. journalists anyways, I guess that's who is standing here. China was unable to find a single one that they could pay to write more negative shit about you. Why? Because they were over fucking quota? What'd they tell China? Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? You don't have to pay me. I fucking hate this guy. Or were they just unable to find anybody who would just write articles for them? That the articles they wrote that were negative about Trump were just legit articles about the truth. So stupid. I don't give a fuck what China or Russia seek to do. Narcolord said, I believe China. No, I don't. I've spent a good deal of time there. I can't go back. If I go back, they more than likely wouldn't let me leave. It would get ugly. And I'm not going to go over there and have the U.S. government have to trade somebody awful to get me back. I'm not kidding. It's fucking sad because I was a Sinophiliac for a long time and I really appreciate Chinese culture, which is basically dead in China anyways. You want to see real Chinese culture, talk to a Chinese person here in the United States or whatever country you're in, or go to Taiwan. Taiwan is where actual Chinese culture still survives on the planet right now. If it exists for real in the mainland of China, the Chinese government will try to throttle it or bury it. So no. And the idea that he believed them is fucking dense. The National Intelligence Council's assessment of foreign threats to the 2020 election did say that China preferred Trump to not win re-election in 2020, since Beijing views Trump as unpredictable and tough on China. However, the document noted that intelligence officials assessed China did not make a concerted effort to influence the election because it felt it would not be worth the risk. Because both presidents have the obvious same problem with the major issues with China, which is intellectual property theft, corporate espionage, spying in general, the loss of jobs. Like the tide had shifted. Let's go for 34. Yeah, a Sinophile is is the actual word for it. Cynophiliac is my comedic exaggeration. I'm known to do that on occasion. And then of course he cut the cybersecurity and infrastructure security agency. So the idea that they're like, we take this seriously. No, you don't. You cut that so that so other people could break in and help you out. You dumbass. It's so lazy. I went over tonight, but I hope that's okay. And I got radio tomorrow, so I got to prep for that. Hit that like, share the show, share the clip of my breakdown if you would. That would be lovely, so that people can, because I know people are watching the takedowns, and I think I did a pretty darn good job. I think I did the most comprehensive job that's out there, if I do say so my goddamn self. So follow me on Blue Sky at halsparks.com. Of course, on Instagram at Hal Sparks. And of course, just all I ask, the simplest thing, just wherever you're watching, but specifically if you're over on YouTube, if you're ever on YouTube and you haven't, subscribe. Just do that. Just subscribe. My viewer hours are fucking impressive. They really are. Like, in the tens of millions, which means I have a lot more viewers than subscribers. And I'm okay with being your side piece, but I want that little silver plaque. That's just for starters. Just for starters. I would stay later, but I gotta go feed my family. Sorry. Dong Shui Show. I couldn't see it. It went by too fast. So yeah. But yeah, thank you, Mark P. Yes, like, subscribe, share the show. It's not a lot. It's the free stuff. If you want to support the show for real, and you're like, I don't like subscribing, but I also kind of like you to be my little side piece now and again. Then we got a Venmo. You can take a picture of that with your phone. And if you use Venmo, you can. It's right here on the vertical, right there. You can buy me a cup of coffee with the old Venmo. And write just the tip. That's all we ask. No tax on tips. So, and then, of course, patreon.com /Hal Sparks. If you do the Patreon thing, it'd be nice if you did, because you could help me and Boston Brian just like be a $5 on each of us, instead of, I appreciate, if you got $20 to subscribe, on a higher level on my Patreon, I love that idea, but a rising tide lifts all boats, and we're trying to really help. There are certain voices. I'm not even going to say independent media, because we're all jockeying on top of Google and all these other sites. But thank you, Candy. Appreciate that. Oh yeah. Meanwhile, let me look at those. There we go. Let's start here with the from Balt Thanos. I remember to put my that's so nice. Balt Thanos remembered to put his pants on today. And Pam, I fixed Facebook. I'm sorry for the delay. It was kicking me off. Sometimes when I turn it on my multi-streamer, it rejects it, and then I have to do it again. But it finally went through. Thank you for sending me a pile of poop with a face, Angular Merkin. Will you put Never Ending Ending on SoundCloud, pretty please? I jam out on my way to work. I love that song. Oh, yes. Again, I'm still working on the vocals for my version, if that's okay. And then, because that was supposed to be a silly song, and then I'm actually turning it into a real one by singing it for real. How long can Trump last lying at warp speed? I don't know. I think he doesn't do warp speed. He does fart steed, as we know.
Log.
Right?
Captain's log.
There it is. I don't think he can last very long. I'm not suggesting someone put a fork in him, but metaphorically, it would probably result in something. Yes, I fixed it. Thank you, Pam. I finally got to it. Appreciate that. And Beto, thank you for contributing to the 666 fund. We're going to buy that building one day, goddammit. And thank you for the Purple Cat super sticker. And for those that Venmo. Let's chat. Oh, yes. And so since the show tonight was moved to October, I think it's October 2nd now, because we're trying to line it up with some more Nerd Halen dates. Because that was moved, and I'm going to have a couple of dates on either side of it in the area. So I'll be Santa Rosa, and then I'll more than likely do something in Napa, San Francisco, and San Jose, like that kind of thing. Do like a long weekend around October 2nd. We're working it out now. Anybody who bought a ticket, if they didn't refund it, it will be honored then. And if they do refund it, and just let me know, and I'll put you on the Patreon list, and you can come in with them. You can be one of our Patreons +1, or if you are already, a Patreon and you bought a ticket and you didn't need to, we'll just make sure you're on there. So we will be making up that date. Just a lot of stuff. That's all I can say. Other than that, much love. Appreciate you guys more than you know. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 11 Central, noon Eastern. And until then, I guess, let's see, where do we go? Yeah. This is the song that's been on me for the last little bit. So we'll just go. This one's the one I'm cutting a video for as soon as we move to the other space. So wish me luck. All right. At the very least, subscribe. It's free. Just do that. Just do it.
Keep it sweet with a light reach. Whisper low so it sounds like peace. Lay your head, let the ceiling spin.
I can see you.
Don't have to begin
again.
I've been here where the air goes thin. Saw what happens when you try to win. Better stay where the walls don't move. Nothing left that you have to prove. I don't push, I pull you close till you forget what you wanted most. It's just the way of the world. Down in the dirt where the flowers bloom. It's just the way of the world. You'll feel the power of an empty room. It's just the way of the world. Just wait a moment and we'll start again. You are the enemy of my friend, my friend, my friend, my friend. Take my hand, feel the current slow. I can show you what I know. Every spark only burns you out.